I've been thinking a little bit about reflections, and on this, our Advent Wandering Day 17, I'm wondering where we might have seen the face of Christ, whether we'd recognize the face of Christ at Christmas time in a friend or a stranger, a baby, or in creation. I went for a walk along the river at the back of Avebury and I saw this dragon reflected in the water. The cut down tree stump, the face turned towards us. And I love it when you see unexpected things in creation, even on a very grey, murky, cold day. A little further on, around the edge of a house, is what seems to be a moat. And when we look at these reflections and we look through the eyes of a lens at the trees and the water, we're only seeing half the picture and we're seeing it upside down. We're seeing it the wrong way round, if you like. Perhaps we could call it catching a glimpse of glory. I wonder where it is you go walking and catch a glimpse of glory, if your eyes are so much on the path ahead of you that you only catch the half reflection of the glory of a tree in winter. Lift up your heads, O gates, lift up your head, O Jerusalem. The prophet Isaiah shouts encouragement. I wonder if we need to lift our heads up out of whatever it is that's worrying or preoccupying us. Maybe we need to lift our heads up in order to be able to see what lies in front of us on the path. How often do we walk along, focused intently on the ground? And yes, the water shimmers and the trees look quite magnificent upside down the pond near Swan Cottage. But it's not until you lift your head and lift your eyes and notice that you see something else. Perhaps it's like this with us and God. We wander along, boxed in by our narrowness of faith or interpretation of scripture, or the narrowness of the confines of the particular tradition we grow up in, or inhabit now as adults, the safety in the rigidity, the pews, the familiar. And we actually need Christmas for us to take our heads up and to look out with eyes and see the glory that lies around us and within us, and open the ears of our hearts and our minds that we might not just catch a glimpse of glory, but be overwhelmed by it, suffused by it, encouraged by it. When you're out on a walk and you might be deep in thought or your eyes on the uneven ground in front of you, it's only when you reach the brow of a hill and look up and really notice and see the view that you can begin to appreciate the things, the people, and the place around you. When you're walking on a road, look up. At first, the figures are indistinct. Perhaps it takes you a while to recognize them. But as they walk towards you with a smile and a greeting and come right up to you, it's then you recognize who they are and your heart leaps with joy. As we think about the one who had no shelter, no resting place, no place to call his own, born in the animal shelter beneath the thatch because there was no room at the inn, no guest room in the family home, depending on which version you prepare. And as we glance along the walls of our world and our houses, perhaps we can remember that each one of us, in our lifting up of our heads and our hearts, our eyes and our souls might catch a glimpse of glory in a child born in poverty. And in that encounter, remember that we too are precious to God. Lift up our eyes, lift up our voice, and this Christmas tide, rejoice, rejoice.
He bare him up, he bare him down, la loo, la loo, la loo, la lay. He bare him into an orchard brown, the falcon hath borne my Maker away. And in the orchard was a hole, la loo, la loo, la loo, la lay, all hanged round with purple and pall, the falcon hath borne my Maker away. And in that hole there was a bed, la loo, la loo, la loo, la lay, all hanged round with gold so red, the falcon hath borne my Maker away. And in that bed there lieth a knight, la loo, la loo, la loo, la lay, his wounds bleed by day and night, the falcon hath borne my Maker away. And by that bed there kneeleth a maid, la loo, la loo, la loo, la lay, and weepeth she both night and day, the falcon hath borne my Maker away. And by that bedside standeth a stone, la loo, la loo, la loo, la lay, with Corpus Christi written thereon, the falcon hath borne my Maker away. The falcon hath borne my Maker away.